All right, everybody, we are back from lunch. Hopefully, it was a good, nutritious, healthy, happy lunch. And if not, I know that Dr. Rice will tell you what you could improve on that lunch that you had. Dr. Rice is my family. She's my sister-in-law, and I'm very happy that I get to pick her brain on days that she's not presented. But for today, I'm going to turn her over to you guys and you guys to her so that way you could benefit from her knowledge and wisdom and practice. Dr. Rice, thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you, Dr. Dara. It's always a pleasure. I love giving these presentations for you guys. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and pull up my presentation. Give me just one moment. It always takes me just a second to get there. Oh, goodness. At the start. Okay, everyone. So the topic that I decided to do for you all today is supplementation. This is the fourth time I've given a talk at one of Dr. Dara's conferences. Like I said, I really enjoy it. I think I have a lot of information to be helpful for you guys. And I've done a lot of talking about lifestyle, diet, behavioral changes you can make to improve your health. And now I'm going to tell you how to supplement it. And I wanted to just say it's really important for you guys to understand that there is no supplement that I can have you put in your mouth that will make all of your sleep troubles go away or all of your mood disturbances go away. I wish that there was, because I would be a bazillionaire. But the way that supplements work is it's key that it is a part of your already healthy diet and lifestyle. And if you're kind of struggling with the diet piece or some of the lifestyle pieces, I have a little tidbits here and there throughout this presentation. But I'm happy to work with you. I'm happy to connect somebody with you who can work with you on these things, because it's a continual process of improving our health, our wellness, our diet, and our lifestyle. Okay, so let's just dive right on in. So what I'm going to cover today, I'm just going to briefly cover a little bit of supplement basics that I think is important for you to know. Then I'll dive into supplements for sleep, supplements for mood, detox, which I find is incredibly helpful for our first responders, particularly fire and all of the chemicals that you're exposed to. But any of us in general can benefit from detox. And then I'll show you a day of my own supplements at the end to show you what I actually take. So let's just dive into some basics about supplements. I think most people know that the FDA does not regulate supplements, and this is both a pro and a con in my book. The pro is that we have the freedom to choose, right? If you want to try to treat your sleep or your insomnia with supplements, like, you have the ability to do it. You can do it on your own, which I don't truly recommend. But if you get help from somebody, you can choose to go an all natural route to try to treat your supplements instead of turning just to drugs or medications. The con side of this is that there's no regulation. So companies can literally box up some cardboard, slap a label on it, and take it to market without any of the clinical trials, without proving any testing. You can really have some junk out there on the market. And believe me, I've seen lots of junk on the market. So that's a really tough one. But I'm going to circumvent you guys trying to get a hold of any junk by actually giving you the name brands of the supplements that I use, which honestly is not kosher. If this was like one of my naturopathic conferences, I would not be able to do this, but I talked with Dr. Dara and we're just going to show you the things that I use with my patients. I think it's going to be most helpful. One of the most important things I think about choosing a supplement is what's called third-party verification. And this just means that there is a separate company that's not associated with the brand who is doing independent verification and testing on these products to ensure that indeed what they say is on the label is actually in the bottle, and that they also don't contain any high levels of contaminants such as heavy metals. I know the head of our traditional Chinese medicine department often has a tough time when he's importing some of the Chinese medicines. There's only a few companies he will use because a lot of supplements coming out of China can be contaminated with heavy metals. And so that's just something that we need to be aware of. Oh, and here you can check on the label if it's certified by the USP or NSF International, then you know that they have been third-party verified. You can also call the company and verify it that way. Okay, some very supplement basics. How do you know that you're taking a high quality supplement, and how do you know it's not just junk? One of the first things that I do is I like to check whether they use capsules or tablets. And if they use tablets, already it's come down a little bit of a notch in terms of my overall opinion of the supplement. I have a lot of patients bring me in a ton of supplements, and right off the bat, if a supplement that's like a B vitamin is in tablet form, I know it's junk. It's full of fillers, it's full of cardboard, what have you. So try to opt for capsules if possible. And if it says tablets on there, just be wary. You know, like the Centrum Silver or the Centrum vitamins, they're not the highest quality vitamins, and they come in a tablet form. Another reason I don't like tablets is that they can be hard for us to digest, especially if you're on a PPI or any sort of acid blocker for reflux. You're probably not digesting any tablets. I will say that some of good high quality supplements do come in tablet form, and they're made appropriately and properly, but most of the generic tablets out there are crap. Another quick check that I do on the supplements for my patients is I look at the quality of supplement that they use within the bottle. For any multivitamin, a very quick check is to look at the form of B12 that they use. And if they use cyanocobalamin, that's the cheapest and easiest form to get a hold of for B12. It's also the hardest to digest, as opposed to like a methylcobalamin or an adenosylcobalamin. Those forms of B12 are bioavailable. It's what we make in our, or it's what we use in our bodies. And that's how I know if I'm dealing with a higher quality supplement, is based on the types of the form of the vitamin that's in the supplement. And as you can see, cyanocobalamin, just a side note, it is attached to a molecule of cyanide, and your body has to get rid of it. I mean, it's a very minuscule amount, but even just the fact that your body has to get rid of a little bit of poison when you take this B12 form, I just think it's just not worth it. Your fish oils, a very simple test for your fish oils is the whiff test. Break open your capsule, and if it smells fishy, it's likely no good. Fish oil capsules are hard to encapsulate because a lot of the capsules require heat to like mold the capsule form, and heat can be damaging to fish oil. And so a lot of companies, they don't really care about how hot they create their fish oil when they're encapsulating it. But I do, and I care about it for you guys, which is a lot of the times why I recommend a liquid fish oil as opposed to a capsule fish oil. But just again, open it up, take a sniff. If it's super fishy, it's probably no good. And then brand reputation. And as I go through the rest of my PowerPoint presentation, you guys are going to see the same brands popping up over and over. There is one brand that I didn't pull in much that I also think is highly reputable. And if you ever have any questions, you can always email me, drbetsyrice@gmail.com. And I'm happy to answer any sort of questions. Have you heard of this? Have you heard of that? A lot of the times is no. Some of the times it's yes, and it's a multi-level marketing company, and looks like their supplement quality is decent, but you know, what's the real pitch behind it? Yeah, and then the independent quality testing that goes along with your brand reputation. But those are some simple ways for you to know if you're dealing with a decent supplement or not. Purchasing from a reliable source. Obviously, the company website would be one of the best places to purchase. Oftentimes, they're the most expensive. They have their retail pricing. Amazon, I don't have too much beef with Amazon. A lot of my ND counterparts like pitch a fit about don't purchase supplements from Amazon. And the reality is I just don't know how they store and take care of the supplements in the warehouse. If it comes from Amazon, I suppose I should just go down to the Amazon warehouse and be like, show me where you keep your supplements. Because if it's hot, they're going to biodegrade even more rapidly and not be helpful to you. So I have a lot of patients that use Amazon, and that's okay. Sprouts and Whole Foods and natural grocers, they all contain decently reputable companies for supplements. And then I'll share with you guys my own personal full script account, which I use with my patients, and you're free to use any of that. And then any sort of naturopath's office, I don't know if you'd have to be a patient or not. But yeah, knowing where your supplements are coming from is important as well, just for the overall quality of the supplement. Okay, let's dive right in. I decided to start with sleep support. My first responders, you guys don't sleep. And when you do sleep, it's often broken sleep and you're not getting into deep sleep. I mean, there's just all sorts of sleep issues, left, right, up, down, all over the place. So let's see what we can do about it. The first thing, again, and you guys will see each time I go into each of these topics, what I want to stress to you is a supplement can only take you so far. Again, if I had the magic pill to put in your mouth to give you 8 hours of awesome sleep, I would be the most awesomest person in the world, but that's not what we're dealing with here. So the more that you can support your body and your mind in getting into a deep sleep, and then top it off with something that's soothing and relaxing to help you reach that state of deep sleep, now we're working and now we're talking. But until then, there's only so much we can do with a supplement. So one of my main things about sleep, if you don't sleep well on your off days, if you wake up often, if you find that your mind is racing, do a caffeine check. Most of my patients really hate me when I take them off of caffeine. But if you're not sleeping, if you struggle with anxiety, you really probably are highly sensitive to caffeine, and you should not use it as a drug. And most of us do use caffeine in the morning, but the more I can get people off of their caffeine dependence, the more their sleep is going to improve. Mind you, if you stop caffeine today, you're going to have a horrible next 2 weeks, and we'll just be honest about that. But then the time after that, you're going to see that your natural energy, adrenal support's going to kick in, and your sleep's going to deepen, and it's going to be so much better. So again, if you can't sleep, get rid of caffeine. If you have anxiety, get rid of caffeine. It will help you tremendously in the long run. Exercising in the morning or the late afternoon, I like to couple this one with the next one, which is bright light exposure on waking. As soon as you wake up, if you can open up the blinds, get the sunlight into your eyes, or if you just pop on your shoes and walk out the front door and get that bright light exposure, that's going to help you fall asleep later on in the evening. Exercising too close to bed can be overstimulating for a lot of people, so we don't want to exercise past like late afternoon. Keep it quiet and keep it dark, 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 as dark as you can make it. No lights. Use the blackout curtains and keep it quiet, dark, and cool. I probably should have put that up there, if at all possible. Dr. Dara, I know that they sleep at like 62 degrees or something silly like that. Really cool, but the body sleeps better in a cool, dark, quiet environment. And the last one, no damn screens, like just no screens before bed, no scrolling before bed. And when I mean before bed, I mean just like the half an hour to an hour before you fall asleep. Pick up one of these old things right here. Remember these? It's called a book, and use an actual book to fall asleep rather than scrolling. I know it's hard. I love to scroll. I think it's great. But that light, even if you're wearing blue light blockers, even if you have the blue light blocking app on your phone, or you've turned on the yellow screen for your Apple phone, whatever it is, it's still, you still have that light into your retina, and it's going to affect your sleep. So just try to pick up a book and fall asleep. No damn screens. Okay, hopping into our supplements. One of my most favorite supplements all around, I think, for literally almost everything, is magnesium. And specifically for sleep is the glycinate form. And the reason that I like the glycinate form for magnesium is that in order for our bodies to digest magnesium, we can't just take the actual metal. It has to be chelated. There has to be something attached to it so we can absorb it and utilize it. And this is attached to a molecule of glycine. And glycine is very calming to the central nervous system. It's one of our amino acids that kind of puts the brakes on everything. And it tastes sweet. This is a capsule, but you can get powdered magnesium, as you'll see in my own supplements. And my daughter, my husband, and I all take magnesium on the regular, not necessarily every day, but it's because magnesium is so beneficial for so many areas of the body: cardiovascular support, energy metabolism, skin health, eyesight integrity, muscles, you name it. Magnesium is most likely associated as a cofactor in some sort of enzyme process. And one of the reasons I like to supplement magnesium is that if all farming practices were to compost and replenish our soil with the nutrients that are usually found within good quality soil, we wouldn't have to supplement with magnesium. But most farming practices, including organic farming practices, they don't supplement the soil with things like magnesium or trace minerals. And so we have to supplement in our diet, because the broccoli that we are eating today is less nutrient rich than the broccoli that our grandparents ate 50 years ago. And that's just because the soil has sucked it all out and there's really not much left in it. If you do like what's it called, a CSA, oh goodness, one of those farm to table things, they often compost and will replenish their soils with all of these good nutrients. But that's one of the reasons I like to do magnesium. Oh, and in terms of dosage, I'm going to give you guys, again, my full script account. I will make a profit from the sale of any of these supplements, but I'm giving you a 20% discount because I really would like you to have access to what I think is going to be helpful to you. What was I going to say? Oh, all the dosages can be found on there. And again, if you have any questions, you can just email me and I'm happy to fill in dosage questions for you, but we'll get to there. Okay, cortisol manager. I find that I will reach for a cortisol manager probably when I'm teaching. I go in quarters. We have 11-week quarters, probably a good over half of those quarters. Those weeks I'm reaching for a cortisol manager every now and again. It just depends on how stressful my day is. And what cortisol manager does is it helps to stabilize our cortisol in our body. And I just want to briefly refresh this with you, because I know I've talked about it in earlier conferences. So our cortisol level should be the highest right before we wake up, right around like 8 a.m., right? So that's when our cortisol level is highest. We wake up. Cortisol is one of our stress hormones, by the way. And then it kind of naturally falls throughout the day, and it's lowest right around midnight. And then it starts the steady climb up. And this is exactly how our cortisol should flow: high in the morning, low at night. But what happens when we're under a lot of duress, a lot of stress, our body starts to overproduce cortisol, and we can have cortisol pumping at all times of the hours that we don't need to, which is one of the reasons my first responders have so much trouble with sleeping, is that when you wake up for that call, your cortisol level is going to pump, right? Your body's going to wake itself up. And if you're doing that repeatedly through the night, you're not getting you're getting out of this diurnal cortisol pattern and into something more wonky, which might look like this. So you might have a cortisol pattern that's really low in the morning. You're super groggy, hard to get out of bed. And then, you have that second wind right before night, and it's like 10 p.m. and you're like, I'm ready to go. That's your inverted cortisol pattern. And that's what this supplement is going to help you with. So if you find that you get really wired at night and really tired in the morning, taking a cortisol manager at night will help to lower your cortisol level so that you can sleep and then start to rebuild that natural upswing right before, that 6 to 8 a.m. time frame. Okay, let me hop ahead. So herbs are very commonly used for sleep. And the reason that I'm showing you guys a bunch of different variations of supplements that you can take for sleep is because not all one thing will work for every people. I don't know if I said that clearly. Some people respond beautifully to herbs for sleep and they sleep so soundly. Some people, it doesn't even touch their sleep. And so that's why I'm giving you a couple of options. And in terms of what you could take, the magnesium would pair well with both the cortisol manager as well as the sleep herbs. You probably won't need the herbs with the cortisol manager, but again, any questions you can always ask me. So this sleep formula, there's valerian root and skullcap and hops and lavender and all of these herbs that are designed to help the body relax, help the body rest. And I recommend taking these, about 30 minutes to an hour before you fall asleep. I mean, if you forget and take them as your head is hitting the pillow, that's fine. And the dosage can vary. So I usually only need 1 capsule of this, but I know patients of mine need 3 or sometimes even 4 capsules to really get the effects of the sedation. And sometimes valerian is a great herb and has a lot of research behind it on sleep, but sometimes it can make some people groggy in the morning. And that's where knowing the dosage can be really very helpful. I wanted to highlight some sleep amino acids. Amino acids are protein building products. And like I had mentioned, glycine before, GABA, L-theanine, and 5-HTP, all of these amino acids funnel into our relaxation nervous system, the side of our nervous system for relaxation. And so any of these would be really very helpful. And on my FullScript website, you'll see that I have some that are just GABA and just L-theanine, but I just wanted to put these up there for you guys. I don't have a specific brand for you. You can buy these individually and give them a shot and see how they work for you. 5-HTP, you do want to be a little bit careful if you are taking antidepressants. And let me just back up and say, if you're on a bunch of meds, supplementation might not be the best thing for you without supervision. Some of my patients have this idea that because it's natural, it must be safe. And that is entirely not true. And I want to be really clear about it. So if you're taking a whole host of medications, find an ND, find a health coach, find somebody that knows how to navigate the waters of meds and supplements, because they can go really well hand in hand. They can benefit and complement each other, but it can also be not a good thing. And so like 5-HTP is a precursor to serotonin, and the amounts of 5-HTP that I have in these supplements is relatively low, but it is something you want to watch out for if you are taking an antidepressant. So if you're taking an antidepressant and it's blocking the receptors and it's increasing the amount of serotonin in your brain, if you're taking a supplement that also can potentially increase serotonin in the brain, it can lead to something called serotonin syndrome, which is not a wonderful thing. But again, usually it's safe, but just to be cautious, I would avoid 5-HTP if you're on an antidepressant. All the other ones are really safe though. Here's a combo sleep formula. You might notice that I didn't talk about melatonin. I get mixed reviews with melatonin. Melatonin usually helps us fall asleep, but it doesn't help us stay asleep. But a formula like this, the Best Rest formula, has a little bit of melatonin, has a bunch of herbs, and it has some of those amino acids that can help you throughout the night to stay deep in sleep. And sometimes there might be, in terms of sleep, you might have to dual dose, meaning you might have to dose before you sleep, and then you might have to dose when you wake up at 3 a.m. And figuring out how much to take at each of those times to kind of draw out that deep sleep for yourself. It can be an art, but it's also just a trial and error. And you can find out that, maybe you do Best Rest formula right before sleep. If you wake up in the middle of the night, you can take one of the herbs, or maybe you do cortisol manager before you go to sleep, and then you take a Best Rest right in the middle of the night. You can just kind of play with it that way. And again, as I've said, if you have any questions, you can always email me. I'm happy to help you. Mood support. Oh, mood support. I know that's a lot about what you guys talk about in these conferences, and it can get heavy, 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 heavy. And so I'm hopefully this will be helpful to you in terms of supporting your overall healthy mood. I wanted to pull this up because this is what I teach my students, and it's what I'm going to teach you. This is called the therapeutic order, and this is essentially like the hierarchy of how we naturopaths are like encouraged to treat. At the very bottom of our pyramid is establish the foundations for optimal health. Identify, remove the obstacles to cure. For me, the foundation for health is good quality diet, good quality exercise, good quality sleep, good quality stress management. I'm going to go into that on the next slide. But that's all the basics. And I often tell my students, if you can get your patients to do those 4 things and practice those 4 things and continue to improve on those 4 things, 75% of your patients are going to get all better, and they're not going to need anything. They're not going to need supplements. They're not going to need anything else if they just take care of themselves and their body. And so I wanted to emphasize that to you guys as well. The second rung up, stimulate self-healing mechanisms with the Vis Medicatrix Naturae. That's something totally naturopathic, but that's not even talking about supplements yet. It's not until support and restore weakened systems or address or natural symptom control is where we're actually starting to talk about taking supplements. So in terms of the naturopathic approach, if you go to a naturopath and they prescribe 12 supplements, I just guarantee you that's not the way to go, and they're not going to be very helpful. I was just visiting my aunt in California, and she took me to one of her friends, and her friend laid out the 21 bottles that the doctor had recommended for her. Mind you, he hooked her up to some machine, and the electricity ran through her, and he read the printout of what to give her. And I was like, I'm sorry, my aunt's friend, that's bullshit. And all of these, like, I went through all of them, and there were some that were tablets. I was like, I can't do it. Some of them were a decent quality. Some I know are like a multi-level marketing within the chiropractor community. And I was like, I can't recommend those to you. So it really does matter the approach that you take, and supplements are not the end all be all. Okay, mood hygiene. Here are my 4 pillars: movement, diet, sleep, and stress management. We need to move our bodies daily. And a lot of us are tired, and a lot of us are in a lot of pain. And one of the reasons is that we're not moving our body. And so we need to move our body. And I'm not just talking about cardiovascular. I'm talking about PT and getting full range of motion back in our joints, in our hip joints, and in our shoulder joints, strength building. Yes, cardiovascular workout. That could just be a walk around the block. You've got to be moving your body if you want your mental health to be on track. Sweating bullets at least once weekly. Ideally, I want to see people sweat 2 to 3 times a week. Diet, cook your meat, your veggies, and your starches. So if you have to open up a package and then dump it into the boiling water, don't eat it. Buy your food fresh. Learn how to cook it. It can be really challenging. That's why, like, HelloFresh or one of those meal prep thingies, Blue Apron, what have you, are really helpful, because they send you all the ingredients and they tell you how to make it, and then it tastes pretty good. So I very much recommend as much of a whole food diet as you can to support your mental health. Our sleep, 8 hours plus. Note that I didn't say 6 hours, and I didn't say even 7.5 hours. I want you to be getting 8 hours of rest a night, at least. My daughter's, she's 3.5. Oh my gosh, she's 4 this month, actually. And I still don't sleep through the night, but I am getting about 9 hours of broken sleep, which is really, really exciting for me. That's right around 9 hours is where I feel my best. And replenish your sleep deficits as soon as you can. That's with a nap. Those count. Anytime, if you're up all night and then you can rest during the day, you can replace that sleep deficit. It's just like a bank. If you withdraw too much funds and you go into the red, it's the same thing with your sleep. You can take naps and replenish all of that. And then stress management, as much as you can be outside in a relaxing manner. I know a lot of our first responders are outside in the wear and tear, and that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about your luscious backyard. I'm talking about the hike in Oak Creek Canyon, talking about going camping. Getting outside and connecting with nature is one of the best ways to manage stress. And so if you can do it on the daily by going into your own backyard or going to a park by your house, I recommend you do it. And then, sometimes our stress is way too much for an outdoor walk to take care of. And talking to Dr. Dara or somebody else just as radical as he is, to really work through some of these things that you guys are going through. It has to help. If we can't manage our stress, there's no way our mood can be healthy. And so learning those things that help you to manage your stress. Maybe it's a high intensity workout, or maybe it's drawing, or maybe it's who knows what. Hopefully not booze and cigarettes, but you know, some people turn to that. But if that's your stress management, I encourage you to find something else to help with your stress management. And again, I'm very happy to help. I have loads of ideas, and maybe I'll go back to stress management for my next topic. Okay, so essential nutrients. It can be possible that people's moods can be easily disrupted by nutrient deficiencies. Most of our standard American diet does not supply enough B vitamins, magnesium, I mean, taurine, you name it, what have you. We're nutrient deficient as a whole society. And Pure Encapsulations, which you've probably seen a number of times, they're one of my favorite companies. They created these Pure packs, which I think are just really, really easy. In the pack, this one particularly, there are 5 pills, which is kind of a lot, but it has already a little bit of essential fatty acids, which I'm going to go to next, which is fish oil. It has high amounts of antioxidants. It has like your basic multivitamin, and then it has some very specific mood nutrients, like glycine, I think, is in it. L-theanine is in it. To help balance your moods. And so something like this might be really helpful on a very basic level for your mood, just making sure that your body has access to the nutrients that it needs. And what's interesting about these Pure packs is the way that I usually recommend them for my patients is start off with a month and take it every day, or as much as you can to every day. And then once you get saturated, your tissues get saturated, you probably only need to take one of these packs a couple times a week. And then it can vary. If you're under a lot of stress, maybe you bump it up again to like taking it daily for a week, and then you come back down. So again, supplementing is not about, it's not about taking the pill that's going to make everything better, but it's about giving your body access to what it needs on a regular basis, so your body can pull what it needs and use it. Because if it doesn't have access to it, it's going to flounder in some way. And it might be energy, and part of your mood, your stinking, terrible, horrible feeling mood, is because you physically feel like junk. You're not sleeping deep. You have no energy. And you know, who can be happy when their physical body is feeling so terrible? So I like the Neuromood Pure Pack. I just think it's a really easy thing to carry along with you and pop in your mouth. Make sure you take it with food. Any multivitamins, I think taking with food is the best. Essential fatty acids. This is your fish oil. If I were to give you one recommendation for your mood, I would say take fish oil and take a lot of it. There's excellent research on depression and fish oil in the literature, and I can show you guys some of that if you're interested. Fish oil is a natural anti-inflammatory. There is some studies showing that depression can be associated with high levels of inflammation within the brain. And so I think that fish oil is just one of those really, really great supplements. If you have some severe or some more like major depressive disorder symptoms, you're going to want to take like 2 grams of fish oil. So most people, I would recommend take a teaspoon or 2 teaspoons of this. For my more severe mental or mood instability, I'm having you do at least a couple of tablespoons a day. And again, I like the liquid because your body doesn't have to digest the capsule and worry about that junk and whether the fish oil was ruined during the process of encapsulation. You can, if this is your own bottle, you can take a swig, and I kind of chase it with a chaser, just like taking a shot. I'll do a shot of the cod liver oil and then chase it with water because I can't stand it. I know I'm not doing a good job selling it, but it's the truth. My husband and my daughter don't mind. I mean, they drink it and they think it's fine. I have to chase it with water. Yeah. Okay. So cod liver oil, Forte is a great one by Genestra. Oh shoot, I thought I had I thought I had a second one. I might have that under my daily supplements. There's also an encapsulated form. Nordic Naturals, you might have already heard about them. They're excellent. I think they have some really great high quality supplements, and you can do like the 2 capsules of that and reach your 2 grams for fish oils a day. Methylation, this is a little bit of kind of a complex off topic in terms of talking about genetic variations and genetic mutations within our genes. And this is just one genetic mutation that can potentially affect mood. And that's the methylation in our body's ability to methylate substances within our body to keep our enzymatic functions going. I know I'm kind of like veering off here. But it is very common that many of us have genetic mutations and an inability to properly methylate. And so what that means is, let's just say you take the supplement with a cyanocobalamin in it, with a B12 molecule attached to a molecule of cyanide. Your body has to get rid of that cyanide molecule, and that's a whole nother conversation. But your body then has to take the cobalamin and methylate it in order to be able to work. And so what we've found naturopathically is like we kind of skirt this whole having your body do it yourself, and we just supplement the body with the methyl forms of B vitamins. Keep in mind, you take this supplement just like any high quality multivitamin, and your urine's going to turn bright yellow, and that's just the excess riboflavin. B vitamins are great. Let me backtrack. B vitamins, fish oils, no interactions with your antidepressants or really much of any other medications, except if you're starting to talk about maybe thiazide diuretics or other types of blood pressure control. But for the most part, B vitamins and fish oil, very, very safe. You pretty much urinate out all of the B vitamins that your body doesn't use when you take that capsule. The same is true for vitamin C. Those are really easily excreted by the body. So a methyl B complex is really great to take in the morning, not only for mood, but also for energy. And so that might be something that can be very beneficial, especially if you know your MTHFR standing, whether you have that genetic mutation or not. And there's 20 other genes roughly that can code for methylation as well. So that's not just the main one. But methyl support can be helpful for mood. Adrenal support for mood. So adrenal support would fall under mood support, but it's its own category in general. And adrenal support has a lot to do with our sleep. And again, our first responders are not sleeping. You guys are pumping out stress hormones left and right all day long. And our little adrenal glands, which sit right above our kidneys, those are the glands that produce our stress hormones. And when they get taxed, they can get taxed and then they can tank. So there's some botanicals that are helpful for supporting adrenals and energy, nutrients and amino acids, and then some glandulars. And the glandulars is where you're actually taking the adrenal gland, usually it's bovine, it's from a cow, but you're actually taking the gland, the adrenal gland, which already has some cortisol in it. But some of you guys are so flatlined in your cortisol production because you've been pumping out so much, you're just flatlined and not even able to produce anymore. So glandulars can be very helpful for you. I'll talk about each of these. If I were to do one herb for mood, one herb for energy, it would be Rhodiola rosea, particularly in my female population. It has nothing to do truly with whether you're male or you're female, but I find rhodiola to be incredibly beneficial for women. I find it's also helpful for men too as well, but incredibly beneficial for women. Taking 1 or 2 caps in the morning, boost of energy, just like caffeine, helpful for mood, helpful in depression. It's a really wonderful herb. And with our herbs, you generally want to give it about 6 weeks to see the full effect of the herb, 4 to 6 weeks roughly. So if you try it a handful of times, that's not really going to show support for the body. Taking herbs, you have to take it pretty long term in order to see that beneficial effect. Phyto ADR, this is a combination product of different herbs like ginseng and eleutherococcus, and a lot of other great herbs for energy. So I like to pair my cortisol manager at night to kind of bring down the cortisol levels. And then I like to do the adrenal support in the morning to try to help get the body back into that diurnal cortisol rhythm. Ashwagandha is also in this phyto-ADR, which, I mean, I probably should have put that up there. I love ashwagandha for my males as well as my females, but it's spectacular for males. And ashwagandha can be helpful at inducing deep sleep as well as sustaining energy. So it's a great, great herb. So I probably should put that up there, and I'll do that for you guys so that when Dr. Dara posts this, you see the rhodiola and you'll see the ashwagandha. So here, this is an adrenal glandulars. I can't take this product because I am incredibly sensitive. If I drink a cup of coffee, I'll be awake until Tuesday. It's just how I'm wired. And so when I did once, I was recommended to take this by a friend. And so I tried it, and I just got really, really jittery. But there are a lot of people who are so flatlined. This kind of brings the life back into them. They're getting a little bit of cortisol in their body at the right time in the morning, and it can work wonders. So you just have to be careful in terms of working with glandulars about how much your body can tolerate. Some of you guys will be able to take 4 capsules of this, and you'll be like, yeah, I feel a little bit more alert. And, I will take 1 and have like some mild heart palpitations and like stay awake all night. So just if you know that you're sensitive, be careful with the glandulars. They're safe, but it can be overstimulating for some people, just like too much caffeine can be. Okay, and then the last, so that was my mood topic. And now the last is detox. And here, what I like to talk about and introduce to you guys is the concept of doing a cleanse once or even twice a year. Spring and fall are the best times to do a cleanse. The reason that I like a cleanse is particularly I'm talking to anybody in fire or any of you first responders who are out like in traffic and inhaling all of that stuff. Your body just takes that in and stores it. And the bioaccumulation of these like products that are in our environment bioaccumulates in our body, and our bodies are not going to function well. And again, if you're physically not feeling well, I don't know how emotionally and mentally you can feel well. So doing something like this once a year, cleanse it all out, feels fantastic. And so here's a very basic walkthrough about how it would go, generally 5 to 10 days. I have an awesome handout that I'll send with Dr. Dara. And so if you're interested in doing it, the handout will walk you through it with lots of detail. And then if you are going to detox, go slowly and gently. You're going to feel like crap when you start moving all of those biotoxins and exhaust fumes and who knows what else is stored within the tissues of our body. You might feel really junky, but I think you'll find after your detox, your mood and your energy is going to lift dramatically. A detox nutrient. So here's pure encapsulations. Then I make a pure pack, 10-day pure pack. How perfect is that? And this just has all of the nutrients that helps our liver to cleanse out. And the thing about a detox, let me just step back a minute. The thing about a detox is to get rid of all the crap out of the diet so that your body can focus on moving bile. And when we move bile, bile is what binds to our fat soluble molecules in our body, and it's what we poop out. And if you're constipated, if your digestion is slow, if you're not moving bile, you're storing any of those toxins in your body. I could go into all of the PCBs and methyl, I mean, I don't do a lot of environmental medicine, but I love it. And I think that it's great. And the bile is what pulls all of that out. So if we can move bile through the liver, you're going to feel so much better. So a lot of our detox nutrients, as well as our liver herbs, are designed to support the liver. And that's what a whole cleanse is about, is getting that liver, which it basically filters all of our blood. It's like a big sponge and it filters everything out. We just want to wring out that sponge once or twice a year, clean it all out so it can filter once again. If you're going to do a pure pack for your detox, you're not going to need liver support because it's already in the detox. And then this is the other brand that I didn't pull a lot of, but I really appreciate Thorne's products. I think they do some really great work with their products. And this is a powder. So if you do a detox, I highly recommend picking up some form of detox powder that has a lot of the nutrients and the detoxifying herbs in it, and then protein as well, and a little bit of fiber. And then you use that on days 2, 3, if you do a 4 or 5, use that powder for appetite support as well as detox support. And you just mix it with a little bit of water. It's really great. Okay, y'all, here's a day of my own supplements. I'll walk you through briefly. I'm into doing some bitters in the morning, and what bitters do, it's like a daily sort of detox. Bitters as they sound, it's literally bitter, and that bitter taste is what stimulates the salivary glands, then goes down and kind of primes the whole digestive system to get ready for the day. Gosh, I always say if there's one thing I could give you guys, I think I would have you do bitters in the morning to start your day before you drink your coffee, before you drink your water. Take a shot of bitters. I would have you do magnesium at night, and I would have you do fish oils. If I could pick just 3 things, that would be it. So yep, bitters in the morning. The whole fam bam does them over here. We're pooping like champions. At morning or lunch, one of those pure packs is really great. As I said, I probably take a pure pack once, maybe twice a week. And in fact, there's 3 multivitamins in the pure pack. I often only just take 2 multivitamins because I don't think I need that much. And then I save those multivitamins for another day. So a pure pack is great. And I say morning or lunch, because if you're going to take a pack like this, you should take it with a meal. It's just easier on the digestion. If you take a super potent multivitamin on an empty stomach, I guarantee you're going to get a little nauseous and not feel well, maybe a little headachy. So keep in mind, take it with some food. Mid-afternoons, a greens powder is a great pick-me-up. One of my favorite things to do these days is to do a greens powder with an electrolyte packet. And the combination of the two is just a really great way to pick yourself up right around 3 or 4 p.m. or to prep yourself for a workout in the late afternoon. That mid-afternoon's greens, and just in a powder form, is really easy. And you'll see I have a recommendation for that for you as well. And then at night, we have our magnesium powder. We have the whole family's taking children's chewable probiotic, because that, sometimes I can only do as much as I could do. And so we're all taking a children's chewable probiotic, which is great. And then we take the cod liver oil forte. So we do all that at night. Generally like right after dinner is when we take all of those, and those are like our basics, and then if we have more stress, I go to more of my anti-stress supplements, the cortisol manager for sleep, or sleep herbs for sleep. If one of us is sick, then I have an antiviral approach. So really, I use supplements a lot to supplement our healthy diet and lifestyle. So some of the take-home messages for you guys: the supplements are not a substitute for a healthy diet and lifestyle. Please learn to take care of yourself. Please find joy in learning to take care of your physical body. You will feel better if you're eating well and exercising. And I get it. I know how hard when you're anxiety ridden and you're depressed to do these things. And you wish that there was a pill you could put in your mouth to make it all go away, but that's not true. So learn to love yourself, learn to take care of yourself, please. Try 1, 2 of these things at a time. Don't do everything all at once. You're not going to know which is helping and what's helping you. And give it a good amount of time before you make your determination. After 1 to 2 weeks, that's too soon to decide if something is helpful or not to you. Give it about 6 weeks and see how things resonate with you. Pick up the greens drink and do the greens drink every afternoon for a couple of months and see how you feel. Try the cortisol manager. With some of the sleep support, you'd want to see it helping like immediately, but there is going to be a building effect over time with those. And then try a cleanse at least once in your life. And I'm looking at you, Fire, because you guys are toxic to all hell with all that junk in there and the fires and the bad stuff, but try cleanse. It's hard. Plan it out. Make sure you know every meal that you're eating before you eat it, because otherwise you'll get starving and you'll eat a pizza. I've done that a couple of times with a cleanse. So been there, done that. Plan it all out, but give it a shot. I think you guys would feel phenomenal after doing something like that. Here, this is an example of my full script account. I'm going to ask Dr. Dara to post it into the chat. So if you guys wanted to purchase any of supplements, you have free reign to all good supplements through Full Script. I put my protocols on there for you. I put my favorites up there for you specific to this conference. And you guys can get a 20% discount because you're well worth it. Again, I will make a profit off the sale of these supplements, just so you are fully aware of that. If you have any concerns about it, again, don't hesitate to speak to me or email me. But I'm really happy to work with you guys and help you out in any way that I can, besides just these conferences. Okay, there's my email address. I have a couple email addresses, but this one is probably the best one for you guys, drbetsyrice@gmail.com. That's where I work at SCNM. And yeah, I hope this was helpful to you. I hope you try some of these supplements out, and I hope that you feel better as a result of it. So thanks for listening.
Dr. Rice, amazing as always. Thank you very much. You're such an effervescent presenter. It's just always fun to listen to you speak. And I know how much you care about this topic and how much you care about first responders. And you didn't say this, but you live with a first responder. And so to you, this is a passion of yours, because we get to see you and Chad doing all of these things together, and how it really helps to keep balance within the family. And it's just so great. I mean, you have a personal passion to actually help first responders, because, you live with one, you're married to one.
Yeah, not only do I live with him, Dr. Dara, I love him.
And you want to keep him around for a long time.
I will share, and I don't know if he's listening or not in this moment, but I will share with you. We did a detox, as you know, because we were on the juice day at your house. But we did the detox with him, and this is not the first time it's happened for him, but his poop smells like metal. Like whatever's coming out of him, I'm like, that's not right. And I'm glad it's coming out of you, but it's not the first time that he's done a cleanse and his poop smells like metal. I'm like, get that shit out of there.
And now I'll forever be on the internet. That's great. Oh no, it's great. So we have a few questions, and I wanted to make sure we get some answers to those. One is, does the cortisol pattern look different for those who work graveyard shifts?
Absolutely. Yep. And so that's going to be tough, especially my night shift workers, is getting your body regulated, because our bodies are designed to be awake with the light and asleep with the dark. And so some of the patients I struggle with the most, honestly, are my night shift workers. But you could still do all of these same things just on your own timeline. And so you would take the cortisol manager in the morning when you're going to sleep and just pretend that it's your night. And it's particularly important for my night shift workers to make sure that you're sleeping in complete darkness as much as you can.
Okay, and so just change your environment to match your times as opposed to the daylight and night. Okay. Do you need to have any specific blood work or tests done prior to taking these supplements? Like, do you need to have PCP approval, or can anyone take them at any dose?
Yeah, so anyone can take these at any dose. If you're at all hesitant and worried about it, I wouldn't recommend going to your PCP, because they don't know anything about supplements. So reaching out to a naturopath, an ND, reaching out to even a health coach or a life coach. A lot of times they're very well versed in supplements. Your PCP is going to know about drugs, and they're going to say, don't take any supplements, blah, blah, blah. But the reality is that supplements and drugs can work synergistically really well. And to answer the question directly, no, you do not need any blood work prior to taking supplements. I always like to get blood work for my patients, so I know exactly what I'm working with, but it's not required. If you have trouble sleeping and you want to try to take one of the supplements, that's great. If you have a low mood and you're like, let me try the the fish oil for a couple of months, it's not going to hurt you. If you are taking a lot of meds, you might want to work with somebody though.
That's helpful. Somebody asked, I could only find magnesium bisglycinate on Amazon. The store carries the plain magnesium, but it upset their stomach.
Great question. So magnesium in most forms is like a laxative. So glycinate is one of the more highly absorbable. So you won't often get the digestive upset and the diarrhea from magnesium glycinate. Magnesium bisglycinate is like the same thing as glycinate. So that's a fine form. If you're using citrate or orotate or Natural Calm is a very common brand used, you can reach that threshold where it gives you diarrhea. And then you just need to back off on the dose a little bit. Thank you for mentioning that, because that's one of the things you see with magnesium, but usually not a lot with magnesium glycinate form.
Okay. Well, I know that you have done a lot of the guesswork. You've taken a lot of it out of people having to experiment with it by actually trying it out yourselves, plus doing a lot of research on things, plus practicing medicine for so long. So, I trust you, and, I hope that other people do too. Any thoughts on turmeric?
Oh yeah, turmeric is great. I think it's in almost all of the combo products for mood. And the bitters has high dose of turmeric. Turmeric, one of the hard things about it is it's not easily absorbed. If you think of like East Indian cooking, there's usually the black pepper is put in with the turmeric and all the spices that make the food so delicious. That's because like something like black pepper can make turmeric more highly absorbable. So the form of turmeric matters a lot, and how it's processed and how your body it can absorb it, but the more the merrier. If you can put that in your cooking and you can take it as a supplement, it's incredibly anti-inflammatory. So
it's really helpful. And then we have a few other things here. Which brands have the best bioavailability?
That's a great question. And I think it depends on what nutrient you're talking about. And so the way that I base my opinions on supplements is actually through my school's medicinary. There's a whole team of like 7 individuals, and they review all of the companies that approach them or that doctors bring and say, hey, I want to bring this to our medicinary. And they review all of that data. A lot of times when my patients bring in a supplement, they're like, what do you think about this? I'll do that really quick. I'll look at the forms of bioavailability of the supplement, and I can do a quick search on it, but I don't have the ability to go through all of that independent verification testing. And so the companies that I use a lot, Thorne, Vital Nutrients, Pure Encapsulations, Orthomolecular, these are all companies that I know and I trust, and I've seen the data that shows that what they put in their supplement is really in their supplement. But that's a really good question. If you have any specific questions of companies, just email me and I'm happy to look into it for you. Are you muted?
I apologize. What is the best way for people to find a local naturopath that they could trust, someone that, will be able to be like you?
Excellent, excellent. So in the US, there's the American Association of Naturopathic Physicians, AANP. Make sure you don't go to the nurse practitioner one, the naturopathic physicians one. And there's a Find a Naturopath tool there. Any of the state associations, I think every state has like an Arizona Naturopathic Medical Association, California. That would be also another good way to find somebody who's registered with the state, which usually means they're decent quality. The person that has like naturopath up on their billboard and they don't have any credentialing, just be aware of those guys. They do exist. So the state associations, the national associations, email me and I'm happy to send out a, hey, who's in this area, to my colleagues and see if we can't find someone for you.
That's helpful, Dr. Rice. Thank you. We have a few more questions. What I'll ask you to do is, if you don't mind, just hanging around and respond to some of these things in the chat box so everybody could read the answers to them. That would be really helpful. And thank you. I look forward to seeing you guys this evening. And giving you a big old hug. Thank you very much.
Right. Thanks, Dr. Dara.
Okay.